Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Alex Lloyd and this is a 21st Century Tattoo. Grace, thank you so much for having us down at your studio, your private studio. But it's nice to be back in Brighton as well.
I'm glad that you're... Oh my God, no. God.
What?
I'm just so glad that you were down here and I was like, no.
No, it's good. So, mate, I've followed your stuff for a while. Like, I love the single needle work, and that's something that I'm like really trying to kind of introduce into my stuff as well. I'm going to start you with a nice, easy question.
Thank you.
How would you personally define your style?
This is so hard because I get this quite a lot. I'd say like fine line, single needle, trad / feminine, like tattoos. I feel like mine's definitely like, it's so weird for me because I've been transitioning a lot with what I've been doing over like the last couple of years. And I feel like it's definitely now like, it's so hard because like Sacred Hearts and stuff, I feel like I'm way more femme, but I'm like getting into snakes and stuff. So like, I don't know, softer, traditional, fine line. I think
that's actually, it's very true. Like, I hadn't really thought about it like that, but it has got that traditional element. It's kind of like using those traditional style designs, but like obviously it has got quite a feminine touch to it. I think you can tell that it is a female artist that's produced it. Yeah. It's delicate.
I definitely get that,
I love it. I think it's really, really nice.
Thank you.
Tell me how you got into tattooing then. Very, very broad. Like I said, I've followed your stuff for a while. I don't know whether kind of going through your Instagram, like it looks as if I can see some drawings and stuff from back in 2017. Maybe take me right back and how did you kind of like realise your passion for art and get into it?
I remember as a kid, my dad, like mum and dad were separated. I remember every weekend we'd go around my dad's, and my dad was such a good artist, and he'd like ask us what we wanted on the walls like one weekend, and we'd come back and he'd paint like these like insane like murals, whether it would be like, I don't know, there's a thing called the Flower Fairies, or like whether it would be like a Disney or like Barbie, and like my dad would just churn them out on a weekend. And I remember seeing him do that and like copying it, and each weekend being like, how the hell do you have time? I don't know how he had the time for it. But I think because he didn't get to spend much time with us, I think he was like, okay, I'm going to give them something each time.
Oh, nice.
And then I remember him being like, oh, what do you want to do on a weekend? And my sister was always like, swimming. And I was always like, painting. Yeah, so we always used to get like canvases and like paint and draw. And I think it definitely came from my dad because my mum isn't creative at all. And I feel like that just went into school. I remember... I looked back on like my primary school. I left primary school, I changed primary schools, and it was only in year 2. And I looked back and like my primary school teacher had written in my card, like, always keep drawing. And I was like, that's cute. So I must have done it from like a young age. And I can't even remember like when it started. But I just remember like first time seeing art and being like, my dad's sick. Like he's just doing these like insane things.
Nice.
I think I was just trying to copy him probably with like all of it. But yeah.
I think to be exposed from that like early age as well, and for them to be picking that up in primary school, I think
when I like reread it, I was like, oh, this is cute. Like Miss Evans still being like, oh, keep drawing. So I was like, if she knew now, because obviously she would have no clue, if she knew now that I was like doing this, I feel like she'd be like, oh, that's fucking cute.
Yeah,
like,
that's so weird that you say that, because I always think, if I went back to my secondary school, my art was the only thing I ever enjoyed, and I really liked my art teacher. There were 2 art teachers and we only ever got one because of the form I was in. Right. And she was saying, I loved her. My
art teacher, literally, we're still on Instagram. We message all the time. Like, we're so close, which is so, I feel like anyone else is like, you nerd. But she's like the best person. So I feel like every person that's like been arty I've like kind of attached to, and then just been like friends with them like since. Yeah. I don't know if that's just me being a nerd in school though, wanting good grades. I don't know.
Maybe.
She's
I don't know.
She's so cool.
How did you then kind of, where was the transition? Did you kind of carry on studying that all the way through to leaving school?
Yeah. So I was like really nerdy in school. Like I said, friends with my teachers was like, I managed to do my A-levels really early. So I like kind of finished that when I was like, I don't know, I think I was like, I did my A-levels when everyone else was doing their GCSEs. Don't know how it happened. I think I was just photographic memory. I think I could see things and like smash that. So I finished school and then I got offered like a pastry, like an apprenticeship. Okay. So I worked in my hometown at like a pastry shop, which was to me still really creative. It doesn't sound it, but like it was a French patisserie guy. So I was just doing all that and like figuring out school. Because they wanted me to go to uni, but I was like, I don't know if uni's for me.
Did this your parents wanted you to go to uni?
Yeah, and my school was like really pushing it because they were like, from where I did it early, they're like, you could go to uni and do this like really easily. And I did find like creative things like pretty easy. Like my A-levels were all really creative. but I just didn't want to be in school anymore. So I'm so over this. So I like had the French guy teaching me like all these beautiful pastries and stuff. And then whilst I was doing that, then was working like another job just to get money and was just like floating by. Decided I was going to go back to uni, and then went to get a tattoo at like the shop that I ended up apprenticing in Kent, and just got speaking to the guy about all this and like what I was doing and thinking about going back to uni, and like saying about like, oh, he was like, what do you want to study? I was like, maybe art, I don't know. And literally then and there he offered me apprenticeship. So I was really lucky, like right place, right time. And I feel really bad when anyone's like, how'd you get an apprenticeship? Because I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like it was just
fell into it, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you getting work off him then?
Yeah, so, well, I went and got literally that little one, that acorn.
Right.
Went and got like a little acorn. And I can't remember why. I think it was like Valentine's Day with like one of my girlfriends. I'm not even going to get into what we got it for. It's so bad. But we got it as like a little matching one. And he was just doing it. He was the only person that was like back home, like a good artist.
Yeah.
And yeah, just had a conversation. I think he just liked me as a person, was like, come work for me. So
I love
okay,
that.
We'll go and do it. So it's good fun.
Where did you grow up then? Where was this?
Kent. So down like, it's a little town called Folkestone. So down by like the Channel Tunnel is the best way to describe it. Like very seasidey, but just quite a small town.
So how long was that apprenticeship? Like,
was it
quite traditional? How would you kind of describe that?
I was like sitting in the shop for a good while, like not really doing anything. And then not very long, to be fair, I was there. I think in total, I don't even know how long it was, but my boyfriend at the time was in Brighton, and someone that I knew through Kane, which is the guy that taught me, offered me a place here as well. So then I went to this shop pretty quickly. So it was quite a quick transition into coming to Brighton. I basically came here for a boyfriend. Not scary anymore.
Complete relocation, yeah.
And then it just fell into, there was a shop here called No Friends, which isn't here anymore, but worked there for like the rest of like the 4 years that I was properly tattooing, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's probably when I kind of started following you at that point.
Yeah.
So it's not there anymore?
No, it's not here anymore. It's shut down. It shut down at like December time. But everyone's like still really good friends. Like everyone's just doing their own thing. Like the artists, like all the boys, like I'm still keeping contact with. Like Harry, there's an artist called Harry Mackenzie, and like he literally lives around the corner. And like Georgia, I work with here.
Yeah.
And like Sam, like we all still like keep in touch. We went and played Twister together the other day, which was really fun. It was nice to like do something fun together.
I like Brighton, I really do, and I love like every time I come here. Like it's a good vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like I've never kind of been in a position where I've considered moving here, but like every time I visit, it's so nice. And I've done a couple of guest spots. And we were chatting earlier about like Top Boy and all of those. And yeah, it is a good vibe. I like it. Like, can you see yourself staying here, do you think?
It's such a hard one. When like the option, but like when No Friends went, I was like, oh, what do I do? And there was loads of like things that I was toying with the idea of. One of our friends is in Canada, an artist called Tommy O, who is like so insane. And like we're speaking to him, he was like, come out here. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like Canada's too far. London was like an option. But I think for the time being, like Brighton has my heart for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like I think there's such a nice like feel to Brighton and it's very wholesome, and I don't think I'm ready to give that up yet. I think London's a bit too intimidating right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe one day. But we'll see.
How would you like, what's the scene in Brighton like? Like I know there are a lot of studios in Brighton and in Hove.
Yeah.
Obviously you've been tattooing a little while and your style speaks for itself. Do you think there's a level of like competition in Brighton maybe for business, or is there enough of it to go around?
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like down here everyone's really friendly, and I feel like we're quite lucky in the fact that loads of people from like London will still come down. So I don't know if I've just been very lucky, never felt like I had to fight for anything. But I feel like in Brighton it's very easy down here to like do your own style without like treading on anyone's feet. Whereas I feel like if you're in London, so many artists will probably be doing the same thing, which is so nice. But I feel like in Brighton, everyone has their little niche anyway.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you want like flowers and stuff, like there's really good artists that will like do that, but they're all still slightly different. Like I don't think there's a lot of artists doing anything too similar, which I think was why I love it here, is because I don't feel like any shops really have that much like, I don't know.
No, I completely agree. And I think that's kind of like that's such an old school mentality. I think social media's had plays a massive part in that. I was actually speaking to Mike Stout, who's got a shop in Brighton,
He's
and
lovely.
like we were talking about how unique everyone's different styles are. He even like if he gets any requests, I mean his studio, I think really he doesn't kind of take any walk-ins.
No.
It's private in that respect.
Yeah.
And he'll pass stuff on.
He honestly, like, and that's the thing, like, even with that, when there was a transition between, like, this place and, like, finding out what we wanted to do, like, even Mike reached out to me and was like, if you want to come work with me for a bit, but there's no, like, you have to work with me and, like, stay in a tattoo shop, which I feel like is quite traditional, like, loyalties, I feel like, play a massive thing in tattooing. But down here, everyone's just cool to be like, oh, if you want to work with me for a bit, like, that would be fun.
Yeah.
We had, like, a girl come in here a couple of weeks ago while she's, like, doing the same thing. I feel like everyone's just very friendly down here, which I love. I love Brighton for that, because it's, like, you can go out on the town and, like, see someone like Mike or see, like, G-Hawks and be like, oh, you guys are, like, sound, like, hi.
And
there's
everyone,
no,
like, bigs each other up.
Yeah, there's no horrible, like, scariness. Like, I don't know, which you can sometimes get.
Yeah, 100%. Even especially in smaller towns.
Yeah, I feel
like I remember when I opened my studio, like there was one other studio in town, and they were, I don't think they were particularly happy about it.
My first tattoo shop where there was another tattoo shop around the corner, and those two hated each other. Like, it wasn't fun. Like, if you walk down the road, you'd just walk quickly, because the guy that I worked with, I love him to pieces, but he was like, he didn't like the other guy. So you just like head down, keep walking.
Yeah, I think there's still some places, like I think maybe Bournemouth, I think I know is a little bit still like that, and definitely some places up north.
It's crazy, isn't it? Territory.
Yeah, it's mad, but like I don't get it, because that's just, that mentality is just so old school. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, tell me about the place. Like, how long have you? I think you've only just moved in here.
Yeah, so we literally got the keys like 3 weeks ago. But it was long to try and get it. To be fair, I think when
it's
George
really nice. Love it.
Thank you. When George and I decided to do it, like finding somewhere, we had loads of different options. There was like definitely more street shops, but I think there was bigger shops than this, but still like kind of private, a bit like out of town. But I think when we saw this one, I mean, we had another one, but it fell through. Yeah,
talk to me about the options then. What were you kind of looking at? What was the criteria?
I think definitely private space was what we wanted. But I think we wanted, I mean, this place only really allows room for two. But we can definitely change it up, like with what days we work and stuff. But I think ideally we would have wanted like room for our friends if they wanted to come down. Okay. Like Tommy, if he was to come down from Canada, it's going to be hard in here to fit.
For guests, you mean?
Yeah, but not even necessarily like full time. Just like our close friends, like as like you've gone on like guest spots and stuff. It's just fun to like chill with people. But we didn't even. Our intention wasn't to have it like for that. We just wanted a space for us. So
yeah.
I think the criteria was just somewhere that like felt wholesome and felt like
homely. It's got like quite a warm and homely feel.
Yeah,
I know that's the sort of environment that I'd rather be in if I was getting tattooed. Don't get me wrong, I like the very minimal, futuristic, wide open space.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cute. And I was saying like that to your housemate as well. Like for the size, you've got so much. Like it all works so well.
Yeah. When we came in, it was a motorbike shop before we had this. So we walked in, like there was loads of desks everywhere, like loads of tyres on the walls. And we're like, oh, this isn't going to work. Like, what is this? And we had to like go away and be like, no, the beds can like go there and there. We took all the measurements and like we even like made sure there was enough room for us to like move our chairs and our tables.
Yeah.
But it's definitely working out nicely. I mean, things have still got to find its place.
How long did it take you to kind of do it all?
It didn't take, do you know what? It didn't take too long. A bit of a paint job, putting some stuff on walls. I think with a lot of it, we were really lucky with this space. It was a very easy move in, but I feel like people don't tell you about solicitors and like getting things ready, like licensing and all that when you open up a shop, especially if you just go into a shop. It's just like, oh, it's there. I'm just
completely.
Like,
people think it's
my
like
license. Yeah, easy.
So easy.
And like genuinely.
I'll just open a shop and it's like, really? Are you sure?
And like, I wish someone would have told me in school, like, oh yeah, if you're opening a shop, like you have to go through a solicitor and you have to go through like repairing leases. So like, honestly, half the shit they sent me, I was like, I have no idea what this means. Like genuine, I was like, this email or this whatever it was, I couldn't understand. I was just like nodding by the end of it, like, sign the bill, let's try and move on.
And hope that you don't sign something that's dodgy.
That's completely wrong. Because I feel like, just that side of it, especially if you're creative minded, was so hard. I think that's the hardest part with like moving into a new shop that no one tells you. It's like the paperwork is ridiculous. Like some people I feel like have a really easy transition. Ours wasn't. And I know like a couple of my pals had like a really long time getting into their shops.
Do you think that's unique for Brighton? Like, what are Brighton Council like? Maybe for opening a studio?
They're pretty easy with like the licensing thing. I think it was just Brighton is so hard to get like space. So especially at the moment post-COVID, I feel like finding places to rent was just so hard. And like the second we'd view somewhere, it'd be gone. Yeah. So like we found somewhere, got the ball rolling, but then it's like waiting for landlords. It's just,
really, people
even
are like,
this conversation, it's like, it was so long. It was so bad.
So it's so stressful. We just had an offer accepted on a house. After
good luck.
Yeah, thank you. But like that is one of the most stressful processes I've ever gone through. Like it's probably the most amount of money you'll spend. Yeah. And at the moment it's being rushed.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it wasn't as bad because I took the lease for our studio during COVID. Okay. So I don't think anyone was stupid enough to move. Yeah. We kind of had like pick of where we were. I can imagine here, like people must be fighting for the space.
Honestly, like goes like hotcakes in Brighton. Like spaces will just go instantly. I mean, that was the hardest thing. It was just getting it and then like securing it and being like, okay, because we wanted to get excited as well, and you can't. You're always like, oh, like, are we going? Aren't we going?
Yeah, you can't get excited because you're stressed about all of the other stuff.
And we didn't get a set date on this place. I feel like not having a set date for so long, we were like, what are we doing? Felt like we were in like lockdown again, which wasn't fun. But
no. Well, talk to me about that. How did you kind of find that?
Yeah, lockdown was horrible.
Were you still at No Friends?
Yeah, so the shop was closed like throughout all of it. I think we worked out it was like 11 months we wasn't working, which was ridiculous. Lockdown was rubbish. Yeah. I like went back to doing like loads of paintings and stuff, which was actually really nice. I kind of missed that side of it. And I think having this space, I definitely want to do more like drawings and stuff. But I felt like I was back to like GCSE art and like a child being like, Mum, buy my painting. Yeah. I hated it. And like I was so fortunate that like the people that are invested in what I do still bought like prints and T-shirts. Oh, nice. Because that genuinely was the only thing that kept me going throughout all of it. And I wouldn't do it again, ever. I hated it. I know so many people were like, I loved lockdown. I hated it. I thought it was the worst time. I love working as well. So like not being at work, genuinely, I was like, I wouldn't be me without tattooing. And I know it sounds so cringy.
No, it kind of sounds like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, it felt like it took a part of me away. And I was like, no, I can't have that. So... But yeah, I'm glad it's done now.
Yeah, mentally it was not good. Like I'm the same. I kind of put a lot of value in myself in work. Yeah. And like the sun was shining. I think people were out like loving life. And I was indoors thinking, what the fuck am I meant to be doing? I
was living alone at the time. I was in a studio flat. And I think that side of it as well, where you have no one to be like, it's okay, they'll be like this, was so stressful. Because my brain definitely works with like goals. I'm definitely a goal setter. I think when I didn't have like a goal and like there was no like ending, I was like, this is horrible. Like I didn't like that. And like being by myself just got into like such a rut. I was cycling, which was good because I was getting out of the house. Nice. Then I'd cycle through Brighton and see all the shops and be like, oh, that's it. Like I want to go like work, and you just couldn't.
It was the weirdest time and everything. I mean, I wasn't actually in like a big city. Yeah. It was just a ghost town everywhere.
Brighton wasn't too bad. It was still live, but I feel like that's just like people in Brighton, like they'll go out for their coffee and like walk down the seafront, which was really nice to see.
Yeah, I suppose at least you could do that and get a bit of fresh air. Yeah. But like not knowing when it was going to end, I think was probably the worst.
The worst. I feel, when the pubs as well, I was like, cheers, boys.
That's it, yeah, exactly. That was killer. Yeah. It really was. With that being said then, like what do you think maybe that has done for the industry? Do you think, have you seen a change in the industry? Or maybe the way people work, like sort of pre and post COVID or lockdowns?
It's definitely so hard because I think with a lot of people, they were booked loads before COVID. So post-COVID, I was just catching up on a lot of bookings, which I think was probably the hardest part about it. Again, because we didn't have a set date. Like trying to work out the best way to not mess people around, I really struggled with because I'm very like I do all my own admin. I don't know if it's the same for you, but like I love having that one-to-one with clients before the tattoo. So then I felt like I was the one messing them around, hated that. Yeah. So I felt like the hardest part getting back into it was that side of things. But I feel like the biggest change I took from that, I don't feel like work changed that much apart from more people wanting to get tattooed, which was strange.
Yeah, almost went up.
Yeah, but I feel like that was because everyone was craving like change. Like they wanted that feeling of like freedom again and being like, okay, I can go get a tattoo and just, you know, be who I want to be. But I took away from COVID just booking like a couple of months at a time. I don't book any further than like 2 months now.
Okay.
Don't want to do it. I feel like it's too much of a risk.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into like COVID, and I prefer it that way because I have way more control with my work, which I never used to do. Like before COVID, I'd book like 8 months at a time and like close my diary and be like, yep, I'm done. Just go one day to the next. Whereas now it's like, okay, no, adjust like 2 months at a time. It's fine. You're not locked in. And that wouldn't have come without COVID. I would have just still been working the way it was before, like open my diary once a year, see it through, do the same thing. But I'm really grateful for that side of it, which I don't know if anyone else took on from it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good way of doing it. I think before it was happening, like I kind of almost got a little bit kind of like set on maybe just booking and going like, I've got a 4-month wait list, I've got a 5-month wait list because I thought it sounded impressive. Do you know what I mean? And then other people were trying to say, well, how long's your wait list? Wow, that's so... And it's like, in reality, it was one of the worst things to do because it almost, I think it was Delph who said it felt like you were in prison. It's like, I don't want to have to cancel on clients once I've made an appointment. So then it's sacrificing like my time as well. I think it's so important to kind of just give yourself enough
time
to deal with, to be able to like creatively deal with. Do you kind of, so you don't do like books closed, all of that sort of stuff?
So I'll take on my book, closing my diary, that was it. So I'll like take on bookings and I'll open my diary for like a day, close it. I'll then go through and like see whatever ones I want to do.
But literally really for 24 selective. Hours?
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a good way of doing it.
Yeah. So literally 24 hours. And then it would take me about a week to go through them all. First go through all the ones I'm like, yeah, definitely a great idea, really want to do. But then I also feel really obliged by the people that have been waiting for ages. So I'll always try and be fair. But I do have to say no to loads of people and then I'll just close it again. And then every couple of months do it that way.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain went then.
No, don't worry. Have you had to say no to anyone like when you've been in the middle of projects? Do you do much large scale stuff?
If I have anything like outstanding, I would always finish it.
Yeah, but say like a composition or a sleeve or something,
Yeah, I would, if it was like an ongoing thing, I would make sure that they're always booked in. The only person though that I'm doing like a whole thing on is one of my pals from Kent, who was like the first ever person I pretty much tattooed. My
Is it
pal
not your
Nathan.
Style?
Not at all.
No, I've got a few on the go at the moment.
He genuinely gets like he's getting a whole bodysuit. And I'm like, no, I would never do this on anyone else apart from you. But it's fun to do. But it's funny watching like the transition of my work. Like not even that it's like what I do, but seeing like how day one to day now, even though it's different styles to what I do, is so much better. Yeah. And yeah, bless him. He's a good egg. I feel sorry for him sometimes though in the sessions we do.
He must be gassed because every time he's back, he's just getting better and better work. It's like, that is so good. Like, have you seen your style change then? Say you obviously you describe yourself as like kind of that fine line single needle stuff. Like what kind of stuff were you doing before? Bit of everything.
The first shop, I mean, it was so quick. Like it was like quite walk-in like type of things. But then when I came to Brighton, definitely, because I didn't really have a style, I was like, I don't know what to do. So I just went into, I feel like it naturally went into flowers. I feel like a lot of people want flowers. And there's definitely a market for it. So I was doing loads of flowers and then it was just getting a bit thinner and a bit thinner. And I was using coils at first. Okay. And then I suddenly had my mind blown when I got introduced to a rotary. And I was like, this is the best thing. Went thinner and thinner. And then it just kind of like got to a point where I was like, okay, I want to change my style. I think because I was getting tattoos that wasn't translating in what I was doing. I was like, I want to do stuff that I would get. And not that I wouldn't get flowers and stuff. I just like things a bit more like weird and like, I don't know, just a bit more like.
So is that kind of where it came from then? It was not necessarily what kind of. I feel like the style is like an outward expression of your inward creativity.
Yeah.
Is that how it was, or is it kind of like you kind of actively thinking of like, I think I always try and make sure that any piece that I do I would be happy to have.
Yeah, on yourself. And I think that was the thing. I was like, and also I was doing so many flowers. I felt like the subject matter couldn't change that much. So I'd do like, say someone would come in for a sunflower and then the next day they'd be like, oh, can I have a sunflower? I'd be like, oh, well, I'd only draw that the way that I drew it yesterday. Maybe slightly different, but there's only like 5 ways you could draw a sunflower from different angles.
Different angles with like some petals.
Yeah, and I was like, as much as people can make them look beautiful and can make them look different, I really struggled with that. I couldn't visualize it in different ways because I just saw it as one thing. So I kind of went into how I went in from the lockdown, and I kind of changed it from the lockdown, actually, from where I was doing loads of like ink paintings. So, okay, this could be quite cool, doing like kind of like inky stuff.
Yeah.
And translating it onto skin. And I did it and I really enjoyed it. And some of them still look beautiful, but I was like, still a little bit too girly for me. I feel like because I'm quite boyish anyway. And I'm like, again, really close to my dad. Loads of my best friends are guys. I don't know if that's just me stereotyping. I was like, I want to do something a little bit more like traddy and a bit more like masculine, but like kind of
gritty and edgy. Yeah. I don't like that phrase, edgy, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just got something about it.
Yeah, I wanted to do something a little bit more like meaner, I guess.
I love the stuff. I need to get something off you, really.
Yeah, but we do like a little exchange.
100%. Yeah, I definitely need something off you for sure.
Yeah,
I love that, and I like that. Like, I'm a big fan of single needle work, and like I said, I'm really trying to kind of push that at the moment. Find it easy making a name for yourself then on socials and just in the industry in general? Like, how you've got a good following on Instagram. Like, I love the way, like, the aesthetic of the whole thing. Like, is it something that just comes naturally, or is it something like that you've tried to achieve?
I feel like when I don't know, Instagram, I had like such a love and hate relationship with for such a long time. I have, yeah. Now I've like forced myself to love it, because I feel like if you don't love it with tattooing, it's such a big chunk of tattooing now. You're like going to do yourself an injustice. Like, you kind of have to, like, as horrible as it is, it's a sign of the times that you have to just accept it, move with it. Yeah. And like, ultimately it is like our first and foremost like advertising, and I'm like, I'd be an idiot if I didn't like try with it. And for so long I was resisting that. I was like, no, I'm just going to post the tattoos, don't really care. And I did, but I feel like in Brighton, because everyone is so like in touch with like sharing and being like so forward, like the guys in my last shop, like just always sharing, and like it just grew from that, really. And I have that shop, like, to be fair, that shop I have a lot to thank for, with like the way that the Instagrams grew. But I feel like it was being with a big group. I feel like you could just get something from someone and put it on your story, like then that would be like outreach to X amount of people. Yeah. But Instagram, it definitely took a while to like love. Even now, like when I went on a guest book with my pal like Lewis, and even at Delph shop, I watch the way that they take photos, and it's so like immaculately done. It makes me feel ill, because I will just literally be like, around here, like with like the lighting in here, I'll be like, oh, it's fine. But then seeing how they do it, I'm like, okay, I need to up my game. Like, it looks so like beautiful, and it makes the tattoos, I feel like once you do it, it's almost like a picture and like the final closure or something. I feel like it's nice to give someone something to take away with them as well, and be like, oh, that was like the final like piece to like my tattoo.
100%. Like, it's its own thing. It's not just for Instagram. It is like it captures the whole essence of the piece if it's done right. Yeah, I feel like it's like that closing, like final goodbye for someone, because everyone's always like, can I get a photo? And if they have like a proper one, it's like nice for them to like share and be like, oh, this is on me. I feel like it's like a pride thing to be like, I've just sat through all that pain. No, this is what I've got. And I feel like that's so nice, and I need to get better at it. But I'm getting there slowly. What do you do? Are you just iPhone, or have you got an SLR?
Yeah, George uses a camera, but I just use my iPhone, which I've got the new one, and it's honestly awful for taking pictures. I want to go back to my old one. It just like adjusts all the time. I'm like, I hate this. I'm
useless. I bought myself one off eBay, like an alright one. It's like it's oldish, and I've just been messing about with it. This is what this lad does best. Leave it to him, because he knows what he's doing. I haven't got the foggiest. I did A-level photography, and like I just don't pick it, like I haven't picked it up, and and like I did well in it, but I just can't remember in it. I feel like it's all like the little technical things that, like, the more you do like anything, you can get really good at it. And I definitely, photography is like gone the other way with me. I'm kind of like, ugh. I feel like, because I don't really know what I'm doing, I don't want to pretend that I can try and then like take a really shit photo or something. But... I mean, I wouldn't notice by looking at the stuff anyway. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've got to work on for sure. So I want to ask you a question. Like, what would you say is kind of your motivation, like, in life? Like, what's the thing that really kind of gets you out of bed and drives you? Is it tattooing?
Oh, yeah, I actually think it is, which is so probably lame to say. I don't know. Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
At the moment, it definitely is. Like, I've never been happier. Like, having this space as well, like walking in, like being here this first week fully, I've just felt so like happy and like at peace.
Oh, nice.
And it's like so nice to feel that way because I feel like you just get to go in. We have the best job. Like, you get to go in, you get to create something on someone's skin that hopefully should give them so much confidence. I think that's the big thing with me as well, is what you can do for the other person. I'm so lucky with my clients. They're lovely. So I get to meet new people every day, have the best conversations, and then like create something like hopefully beautiful. And it's like the best. I love this job. And yeah, I'm so happy with what I do. I can't say that it doesn't define me because it really does. I feel like if I didn't do tattooing, I don't know who I'd be, but
yeah,
I don't know.
No, it's good. And I'm the same. I put so much value in that. Like, for me, I kind of always want to push myself and kind of, like, I'm really trying to like get my physical health in check and get all of that, my mental health in check. Tattooing.
Like, finding time for the gym is like ridiculously hard, but...
Do you do it? How do you? I know you told me about the fact that you do some cycling.
Yeah.
What's your way to escape work, and how do you find that balance? Because I'm sure anyone listening to this who's an artist knows that to be putting as much effort into tattooing and socials and all of that sort of stuff, it completely takes your life. Yeah. Like, takes up all of your life. So like how do you do that?
Yeah, the biggest thing with tattooing, I feel like people that are on the outside I hate saying the word industry, but like people looking into this and like wanting to get into it, I feel like not enough credit is given to the time. Like, it is a massive like investment of your time tattooing. And I definitely am like a workaholic and I'll overdo it. Like, my normal day, I'll like wake up at like 5:45, go to the gym for an hour, get back home. By the time I'm home, get ready, go to the shop, clean the shop, do my emails, tattoo in like 10 till like 7, then you go home, have dinner, do a couple more drawings. It's like there's actually no time for you in the day. Yeah. And I feel like then it's really hard, especially like with messages and stuff. I hate that because I've been so bad this week, but I just haven't had the time. Like, genuinely haven't had the time, just been working, sorting this place out. But finding the time, I definitely like to exercise in the day. If I don't do that in the morning, I'm screwed. You're
exactly the same as me.
Yeah.
I'll do the same. I'm up at 5, get to the gym, get down to work.
If I don't do it, and like we're on our like bums all day, like you have to like get some form of like fitness in. But I've been really slack, to be fair, recently. But I'm back in like my groove of it, and I'm like, okay, exercise, and like you need that routine, I think. But yeah, I think, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's my routine.
That's what it needs. Like, I notice a massive change in myself if I'm not exercising and I'm not getting that time. And if you pull it off to the evening, it never happens.
Honestly.
Do you do a lot of drawing outside of work? Do you have the time? Do you draw bits on a day?
I'm kind of weird. I mean, some weeks I do, some weeks I don't. I tend to do my drawing one day of a weekend. So I like sit down on a Sunday, do my drawings, and I used to be really good at sending it all out and making sure everyone's happy. If it's a bigger
beforehand?
Piece, which I know, controversial.
Well, not even. I just don't know how you can do that. Like, there aren't enough hours.
It was because my days are really like tight. Like, I run my day like literally back to back, and I don't allow for time for changes really. So doing it that way meant that I can make my changes one like major day of drawing, and then the changes before work or like at the end of the evening where they're not massive, like
just little adjustments.
Yeah, because otherwise my brain would just be scrambled. Like, I'm not the type of person that could go back after eating dinner, then sit down, say it's like 9 o'clock and draw. My brain, I need like that. I go to bed at 10. I'm such an early sleeper.
Yeah, but if you're getting up as early as we are, like you need to.
Yeah, so I will like literally have my dinner, have like 1 hour before bed. Like, and I again will have to post before. Like, all my friends, Tommy in Canada is like, you never like my pictures. I'm like, I'm never awake to see when you post.
I don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah, because he'll be posting at like 10, and I'm like, mate, I'm not awake. But I'll like make sure I turn my phone off at that time. I'm kind of like has to be down. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, you have to. You have to make that time for yourself.
People that gym after work, it just blows my mind. I don't know how they do it.
I'm useless, man. If I've eaten, especially like at least the days are a bit longer. The winter's difficult. Like, and you do feel like you're working every hour that you've given.
Yeah.
like I said, we've just bought a house. I've got a dog. Like,
life.
Our commute is a good 40 minutes each way driving.
It takes up so much time, doesn't it?
That's already like, I mean, my maths is a bit shit. What's that?
No,
like
but it's probably already like a couple of hours gone just from like commuting, doing like what you actually need to do as a human in the day. But even like eating, I feel like so many tattooers I know fast through the day. Like, people would rather work than like eat food, and I'm guilty of it. Like, I'm literally in the day, I'm like, oh, don't worry about lunch. Like, let's just keep like working. And then you need that time in the evening to just like recoup a bit, because it is like sitting an exam. That's the way I describe tattooing, as like sitting an exam all day, because your brain is just like so focused.
I hadn't thought
like,
of it like
you know,
that.
when like you finish, especially if it's like a long day and you're just doing one piece, I feel like, you know, when you had that little like, and your brain's a bit quiet and a bit like frazzled. I feel like it's post-exam where you've kind of got it out your system and you know you've done well, but you just need to like take a second, like have that little like moment. Oh God, that's my evening.
Yeah, I'm almost like that if I stop in the middle of the day as well. Like, it completely writes me off.
Yeah, you just need to like keep going with your day. But...
What's it like to be a female in the industry? Like, do you think you've kind of come across any particular like challenges? How it's you and is it one of your mates that works here?
So a lady called Georgia, which is Honey Badger online, and she's lovely.
Honey Badger.
Yeah,
I'll make sure
Honey Badger Tattoo.
I'll make sure I tag her.
She's great. She's the best person. I couldn't have done this without her, to be fair. Like, when I told her like I was doing the podcast, and she was like, "Yay, like we're still doing well." I was like, "Yeah, of course we are." But she's great. I wouldn't be able to do it without her. But I feel like as a female, I've been really lucky. Haven't had any horrible experiences.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I feel like girls are like, I feel like it's like leveled out now. I feel like female artists, male artists, especially around here. If not, there's probably more female artists, I feel like, in Brighton, which is obviously so nice because it used to be male dominated. But I feel like
it's so good to hear, now, and I think that's so good. Yeah, 100%. Like, it feels like you hear some of these horror stories sometimes, and I was actually chatting with the previous guest about like how I mean, I think she had like a couple of negative experience like with some male artists. That boys club, old school biker, all male run studio vibe is just like done and dusted finally. Yeah,
my first studio was like that, to be fair. It was like very like lads, but I think I just took it with a pinch of salt. Like, I think I was like young, and it's like I still look back on them and I'm like, it was still the best times, just very different studio. And I think that's the thing, like, you've just got to find your little space that works for you. But I've been really, and it wasn't a reflection on them, it was just the way that they like to work. And I feel like everyone's little studios now are like what represents them. So like there'll be artists, like there's really cool studios open up in Brighton that are like really like open for like everyone to come in. I mean, like anywhere. But I feel like as a female, you could definitely like just choose your little spot and be. I don't know if that's just really naive of me, but I've been very lucky.
No, not at all. So, and I think definitely in this area as well, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like being in Brighton, that's what I mean. I don't know if it's just because we're in this little bubble here where everyone's like very liberal and like very like loving towards each other.
Good.
So.
That is how it should be. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell me about like your guest spots and stuff. I know that you've done recently. Maybe you were at Project, like Cons and
Loz's Place,
and then down at Aura as well with Luke and Annie. Have you done any more this year? Or any coming up?
Literally last week was at a studio in Worcester called Home, which is run by my pal Lewis. Insane artist again.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff. It's really cool.
He is such a great lad. Like, he's from Scotland, and like, all my pals call me Greedy, and he's like, Greeds. Like, he was sending voice notes. He's the best. He's got a really cute dog. So I was at Worcester. Week before I was with Delph at Sandsford Tree, which their team, the whole team is just insane. Like, you'll look at what everyone's doing and just be like, this is the best thing. Like, I think Delph as well is like, for me, I feel like such a like fan going around him. So I'm like, your work is like, I think it's just flawless. Like, it's insane.
Where he came from was so like so cool as well.
Yeah, listening on it like the podcast, I was like, this is so interesting to hear everyone's journeys, because as like, you don't get the chance to do that when you're like standing and talking. You don't want to be like, what's your background?
Yeah, definitely not when they're tattooing. Yeah, I don't want to be like badgering them.
Fully. But yeah, I was at Delph's place. Done another one in London at a shop called Reverse Cowgirl. Okay. Really lovely team. Like, Zaya is literally smashing it. Really cool. Like, got really like up and coming artists. She's great. Where else have I done? That's pretty much it. And then South City Market, which was my first one. And Still Hands in Cardiff.
Yeah.
by a
How
guy
was
called
that?
Zach. Great. I love Wales, and Zach has just got like the most wholesome space, and I feel like it's like Liverpool, Manchester. No like new shops really that much, like doing like new school tattooing. Zach is definitely like making his own little scene for like even like skate style and like illustrative stuff. Like I feel like isn't really done in Cardiff, and like he's bringing loads of artists in, and it's nice to see like every style accepted in like Cardiff.
It's so good to see people doing like kind of pushing the industry.
Yeah,
That's like
anything goes now, which is nice.
Yeah, that's what it's about. You know, it's so nice to see people kind of trying to break the mold and do something different. Because I'm a little bit like you, I'm a bit of a tattoo nerd, and it's nice to see the progression.
Everyone's
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you got like a dream studio for a guest spot, or maybe an artist that you'd love to go and sit down with or get something with? Yeah.
I think if I was to like watch over someone's shoulder, I would love to watch Jess Shen work, who works in Toronto. Like literally her work is flawless, and she does such different things, but I feel like her art is so like selective. I would love to see, even like I was saying this the other day to a client, knowing how people book in with her. She'll do like massive bodysuits or whatever, or do like the tiniest little things, and I'd love to know if people like just have my back, or like I want this. Like I want to know like what that process is. But I think her work is beautiful, which isn't like my stuff at all, but I think seeing how they work would be great.
You can just appreciate it.
Yeah. There's also a guy that works in Switzerland or Sweden called HB Nielsen.
HB Nielsen, yeah.
I always hate saying names.
I always do this because you get used to the tag on Instagram and you're like, am I pronouncing that name right?
Literally.
Like Ralph I don't know, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it.
I honestly, or like, I'm terrible with, I'm so dyslexic as well, so if I see it, I'm like, this is so wrong. But would love to watch him. Or there's Kyle England's stuff, I think is insane. So I think there's loads, like my style that I like in tattooing is so eclectic. So I'm like, I would just like to know how everybody does everything and just try and absorb it all. But
just learning it. It's constantly growing.
Literally. But there's no like set place that I would want to guess. I think I want to go abroad a little bit, but I'm scared too.
Where?
I don't know. I think I'd definitely go where I had pals first, because I think it's less intimidating. So like Tommy's in Canada. I've got a couple of friends out in Oz doing it. In like Brisbane way. So I think that would be a good start.
Yeah.
But
go the other side of the world, why not?
Yeah. Even like, I don't know though, I feel like...
I think the scene's mad out there. Like the Melbourne scene looks crazy.
Yeah. Like honestly, my pal Alex, who, she's actually back over here soon, but she's a UK artist that's doing her years out there. Alex Hearn tattoo.
Okay.
But she's smashing it. Like she's just going to loads of different shops, and it just looks so much fun. Like every shop looks so inviting. I'm like, to be in Australia with like the sun and like the surf and like just all of that lifestyle, I'm like, that and tattooing is probably like a dream.
It's a different
way of life.
Different vibe.
Yeah.
Do you follow that Try? I think his Instagram's like Try Toeing.
No.
I think he's New Zealand. It's all like that super floral freehand bits.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many artists. Like when people say people and I haven't heard of them, I'm like, have I not heard of them?
Yeah.
I know there is a guy in New Zealand called Warnock.
Okay.
Insane. Again, like mental tattooing. But that's the thing. I feel like there's so many people that you could sit down and be like, have you looked at this person?
Yeah. And it's as much as I hate Instagram, I love it for the fact that you would never have heard of these people were it not for that.
Yeah.
And almost seeing how good their stuff is just pushes me to work so hard.
Yeah. I feel like after a long day of work, you always sit there and you see what people are posting. You're like, my mind's rubbish.
I'll pull the tattoo I've just done up that day next to theirs. I'm like, well, shit, I give up.
Didn't realise, I don't know if this is a thing with everyone, but like as a tattooer, you'll like zoom in to every Instagram post. None of my pals do that. They watch me do it and they're like, why is it? And I'll do it on posts that don't even relate to tattooing now. It's because you're looking at how like perfect the lines are, or like how intricate. And it's just
slope,
like,
though, if you get into that, take it out of tattooing and put it into like the beauty industry, and you see like the way people are photoshopping and like,
it's so bad.
It's almost been done so well that you just don't know which pieces have been edited and who's done what with the lighting and does that piece look like that, and how will it heal? Yeah.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, hopefully, and that's what I would want with my Instagram, is for like the Instagram to translate into real life. I don't want anything to look like what it looks like I want it to be the like reverse almost, so like reverse catfishing. So like they saw it online, and if it wasn't even good online, in person,
They're like, wow.
yeah, it would be like insane.
And I almost feel like that's always the case. Tattoos never look as good in a picture.
You would take a picture and you'd be like, this is not what's in front of me.
No.
It's the most frustrating thing. And then you
Stuff
feel
that wraps and it looks so flat and
literally,
shit. And it's like...
Yeah, and you feel like an absolute like horrible person. I was going to say, like asking your client to be like, come here. Like it's a different lighting
Your
location.
arms slightly that way. It's like trying to get it to look straight.
Like just posing, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
And they would rather have a nice picture, as we said before, but I do hate that part of it as well. Which
do
is why
do you post everything you do?
No.
No.
But it's not even because I'm...
No, I don't. I'll probably post 10% of the stuff I'm tattooing.
It's not because I don't love every tattoo I do, because I'm so selective now with what I take on. Every tattoo I love. But it's literally like lighting, or like even like I'll have pictures that I'll put into my feed and then like I rearrange them before I put them on. And it's just ones that then get old because like they don't fit in. That sounds so
with
first
the theme,
world,
yeah.
but don't fit with the way that like it looks. And it's not even that like I hate the things, because I feel like if you don't post it, people are like, oh my God, they hate my tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, no, it just didn't work. And it's just like...
The lighting's not right, or it's maybe not the kind of like way I want to go with it, or it doesn't...
Fully. And I'm really like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like, I do quite a lot of tattoos in the day, so posting every one, it's quite hard to keep on top of. So it's like...
Oh, yeah. Do you do like little bangers here and there, like little numbers or symbols?
Yeah,
or are you kind
like,
of coming away from that, or what do you do?
I don't want to like toot my own horn, but I'm quite a quick tattooer. So I can definitely get through like a lot of detailed pieces in a day. Like I normally do like 4 a day. And they're all like shaded and stuff. So like every piece is like a proper piece. Like don't get me wrong, I can do like little ones and stuff that would take like an hour.
So roughly how long if you're doing 4 a day? What, like 2.5 hours each?
Yeah. Like back to back. So I just won't stop. So I'll just
lunch,
do
nothing?
Yeah, not really. Which is
hell.
it's bad. But like I feel
That's
weird.
some madness.
My stuff's a lot smaller, and I feel like I really notice it on guest spots. It's like I'll do it back to back. Like Lewis and at Dell's, I was just like doing loads of little stuff, and they're like, "You're doing so many." I'm like, "Yeah," but then they're doing like massive
compositions.
Yeah. So I think it's just probably the same amount of work, but just different ways of doing it.
Yeah,
like
everyone's got a different way of doing it. I'm quite quick, but like if I don't have a break,
you need to have I don't know why.
I think it's my concentration. My mind starts wandering. I start thinking, have I done that? Have I signed that thing? Or have I done that? And then you're like...
Yeah. I think when I'm just in that work space, I just want to keep going. I think that's the thing with me. It's like if I stop, I know that I'll just be like couch potato. Like, you know when you have like food coma?
Oh, yeah, it does you in.
That's me, but with tattooing. Like if I sit down... I can't get back up. I'm done.
But then as soon as 7 o'clock hits and you've like
that's the thing.
Waved the client off, it's like I'm done.
And you have that like little, and I feel like the breakdown at the last tattoo is always like the most satisfying. When you're taking your time and you're like,
yeah. But then I'll just be like, I'm almost then as soon as you pick up your phone, then you end up on Instagram.
You just sat there.
Yeah,
that's the hard part. Is if you then sit down and go on your phone, you're not getting back up. You just sit there for the rest of the evening like this. Done that too many times.
Man. Yeah, no, it is not good. What equipment are you using? Because the stuff is so smooth and single needle is not easy to master, particularly when you start shading as well as lining. So I want to know what equipment, what needles, what voltage.
All the secrets.
Yeah, all the secrets.
Every tattoo, pretty much, I will use a free tight liner, single needle by pretty much all Quadrant. The Stella own brand I like for tight freeze.
The Killer Ink stuff is really sharp.
Yeah,
like it's
the tight
nice.
freeze, honestly, the tightest tight freeze I've
Are we
ever
talking like a 0.25 like bug pen?
Yeah. Or they do a smaller one on there as well. I think it's like 0.22. Yeah. So that's what I use for my shading. My machine is a Spectra Edge, which I have had, and I don't want to, like, it's so hard because Lewis was like, isn't that controversial? And I was like, oh, I don't know.
Isn't it what? What, because of the...
I don't know about the guy. I didn't even realise, but Lewis was like, oh, you're supporting, like, and I was like, I don't know, don't do this to me. I was like, I love this machine.
Is that even a thing anymore?
I don't know, but Lewis said it, and then I was like, oh no. And you know, you're like, I love that machine. It's a Spectra Edge. Is what I use. And then
it's a machine.
Yeah, and it's a great machine. Like, genuinely changed the way I tattooed. And I've tried like using a Cheyenne or like a Bishop one and stuff. The thing I love about that machine is it can hit really hard, but it can also be really soft. So like my lining can get done so quickly, but then shading you can be super soft with it.
What sort of voltage are you running at that then? Is it like a 4 mil stroke?
Yeah. But I so when I'm doing like a single, I'll like have my needle like really like close to the tube, I guess.
Yeah.
And run it really low, so like at 6.5, but I can go really fast.
Ride the tube.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fine.
And then go for like a 3, if I'm lining with a 3, go a little bit up to a 7. I run mine really slow.
Yeah.
Didn't realise this because I work quite quickly.
I feel like you almost need to do that with a single needle though, because it can just churn the skin off so quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with single is like just getting that bit. But then shading wise, I'll like turn it still really low and just pepper it with whatever I'm using. But I only shade with black, which I think is another thing that I really enjoy. With greys, I really struggled because I feel like they heal so differently on everyone. So I just use black.
Especially when you're using such a fine needle.
It just wasn't showing up.
There's not enough pigment going into the skin. It's dynamic.
Yeah. But I didn't use my set of greys, like silverback, and Delph was like, don't use that. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll try a different one. I feel like it's so nice to hear what everyone uses. So definitely mid though.
Yeah, I think just using black as well and using black against the skin gives it that contrast, which I think is what makes your work pop.
Yeah.
I noticed you've got like some of the pieces. I've seen some like you've done some kind of like stylized women. Yeah. And some of the lines. Have you used separate liners, or have you just gone and thickened it up slightly?
I again work completely different to like other people. I'm only comparing it to Lewis because I've just seen him like working. He'll like put his stencil on and then just work on each little bit and like dabble. Whereas I'm so different. I'll like line all of mine with a single first, then go back into like whatever little tiny bits I want to make thicker.
I'll do it more like that as well.
Yeah, and then shade it. Whereas like seeing how they work is like a little bit here and a little bit there.
Right, bottom, right, up, over that way.
But I'll always start with like the base of like a single and then build up from there. No matter what I do, genuinely everything is always like outline with a single, and then I'll like go back in with my 5, like the eye, or like even on like a snake, if it's like a little scale, I'll go into like the little corners rather than doing like the whole line. Just like that way. But,
it's whatever works for you. Like there's like a million ways to tattoo, right? And there's
so
just
many
one or two ways to do it wrong.
Yeah, literally. Hearing like and seeing how everyone works, I think is like so interesting. And seeing the machines, because I've stuck to my machine after having coil machines and just had that one rotary. So I don't know if it's just because I feel at home with that rotary now, but when I see someone using something else, I'm like, how can I use this?
Yeah. It's always worth like trying. I mean, do you ever try and like do you swap with your
with George? We have before, but I think we're both so used to what we've had. Like I know George has used her machine for quite a bit. Sam King Tattoo, who used to work with us, has got like the Flux. They're like it's like the Cheyenne, but the Spectra version, or FK Irons version.
FK Irons,
yeah. And like I tried using that, and again it was nice, but I think for me the weight in it, like as a pen, I don't like.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's weird, isn't it? Because I know so many people that love that fact that it's like a pen, but it's not for me.
I mean, if you're liking it to another form of art, like with painting, like you use the same thickness brushes and stuff. I always used to do that, and also I think that's probably why and how the style continues. You know, you can kind of see that.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah, so good. I use Bishop stuff now.
Really?
But I like Magic Moon as well because they are quite sharp as well as the killer stuff.
Needles.
And then I'll kind of use I've got all 3 ones for Bishop and just kind of depending on what I'm doing.
So interesting, isn't it? Lewis like gave a good little trick with using semi-permanent needles. Little
Mike does the same.
Yeah, I didn't even think that would be a thing. You know, and like it just isn't even a part of like when you're on Killer Ink or whatever ordering stuff. I'm like, oh my god, like why have I not thought of
the Quadrant ones are really nice.
Yeah,
and
to check it out.
The Type 3s go super thin.
Yeah,
but
I think that's the thing is finding a Type 3. Like a good Type 3 is so hard to find.
Yeah, I almost prefer using a Type 3. I'll always line with a 1, but then prefer shade. I don't like stippling with a 1.
No,
I just don't get enough stability, and it doesn't feel like there's enough pigment going in the skin. Sometimes like I can see it on skin and I'm like, oh yeah, this works. And then other times I'm like, no, like I feel like with a single, when I shade with a single, it's too smooth and I don't like it.
I feel like because it's only one, you don't get enough bounce. Whereas like with like slightly more needles,
Yeah.
you can see like that like peppering a little bit more, which I prefer. But everyone's got their own thing. Like I see some people and it's so smooth and so small, or like we'll use a mag for the tiniest shading. I'm like, that's so beautiful, but it's just not the way that my brain will work. When I do it.
Oh, it blows my mind. I mean, I was chatting, Gully. He uses like his
Tiny,
mag work is just madness.
Insane, like
Using
tiny little mags, and we'll do like the most precise.
Whereas I just can't get that precision unless I'm using
like a
liner. And it feels more like a pencil sketch rather than painting.
I'm the same. I don't like squareness. I can use mag, but I don't like to, so I just don't do it.
Yeah, unless I just want just that amount of just like smoothness. Is that a word? Smoothness?
Yeah, I don't know.
Last sort of question, really. I mean, if there was one thing then that you could change about the industry as it is today, would there be anything? Is there?
Yeah, I would. I think I would change. I think in shops you can sometimes lose the love for like actually like the prime thing with tattooing. I think sometimes like the business side of things, I've definitely seen it, and like that is why I'm loving this private space, is because it's very much like going back to tattooing. I think sometimes like just need to sit back and like remember why we're doing it, because I can sometimes feel like the actual point in like this job gets lost a little bit.
Back to basics. What you mean, rather than having to deal with walk-ins or on the phone, or
not like even just like, I think it's so easy and we're so lucky that this job can be so sufficient with like money and stuff like that. I think sometimes you can get a little bit lost in like, oh my God, we're doing a great career and earning so much money for it. I feel like it just needs to be like, oh my God, no, tattooing is like the first and foremost, and like making like sick art. I think just personally, like some of the bigger shops, I think that side, like business, like churning it out, like I guess,
it's so refreshing
and,
that
like,
you've got that attitude, because I think people, it does go to their heads and they get carried away.
Yeah, I love like, well, even like for like social media clout, I know it's such, obviously we're talking about it, but I feel like there's definitely, I don't know, but it's definitely, you can see some things and like it's done for social media, and I just want tattooing to just be like its purest form, I guess.
Yeah,
but like not for anything other than making like the person happy, if you know what I mean? Yeah. Because you want them to have the best experience. But I guess that's so like la-di-da to say, but you know what I mean?
Not at all.
I
like I said, I think it's really refreshing, and I think a lot of people do, but I wish that more artists had that opinion. I think people do get caught up in it. Maybe in London as well, it kind of that.
That's what I mean, just like bigger. And I get it, like it when you are running a business, it does need to be that way. As a shop
owner, having that, like having those overheads, and having to please everyone, and having all of these creatives under one roof that like all have their own kind of attitudes and
fully hard. Fully. But I think sometimes when you get lost in it, then going back to the basics of it is like the best thing. Just like refresh, like why are we actually doing this? It's because I want to make something sick for someone.
Good. Rather than just make a load of money.
And make a load of money. Yeah. I think that's the one thing that I think obviously is a bonus, but can also be like a massive con in this industry. But I guess that's the only thing I'd change.
Yeah. Nice. Well, no, I think you're smashing it. And then the last thing, really, what I'm kind of doing with all of these episodes,
no, I don't want to know.
It's coming, is I'm going to start to get each guest to leave a question for the next guest, and obviously because no one knows
honestly
who's
gave
going
me
to be on the next one.
anxiety earlier, so I don't want to know.
Oh no, you're good. It's
like, a nice one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
She's been super easy.
Nice.
With it.
Okay.
So the question is, if you had your time again, beginning as an apprentice, would you choose a different style or a different avenue to explore?
It's really boring to say no.
Yeah, no.
I feel like the whole process to like what I'm doing now wouldn't be as satisfying now if I hadn't have done. And I know everyone would probably say that, but I feel like seeing the difference in my work, I'm now so much more content with what I'm doing now, rather than, I feel like if I was just doing what I was doing now, like 4 years ago, which is how long I've been tattooing, I feel like I would just be like, oh, where do I grow? So I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah,
no that was a nice question. Okay.
Yeah, super easy. Are you going to give a difficult one? And it can be, the thing
I'm
is,
not going to give one about tattooing.
You're not even going to? It's going to be like, okay, perfect.
It's going to be, around
so, and you don't know who's
I
coming
asked my
next.
client today, she asked me, and I was like, that is the perfect question that I'm going to put onto the one.
Let's have it.
Yeah. Oh, right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're at a dinner table. You're allowed to pick 3 celebrities, dead or alive, who you're bringing.
Nice. So, I like that. Okay,
Honestly, I feel like it tells a lot about a person.
100%.
So
good.
I want to know yours now, but I feel like it's going to ruin it. You have to go into it next time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us, and thank you for having us down at this space in Brighton. It's really cool. It's been nice to actually finally meet you as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I was.
No, not at all. And I look forward to hopefully I can get something off you. And yeah, man, I love your work, and I've got a lot to think about with your Sing on Eel stuff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been cool.
To exchange tips.
For sure. Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you. Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast this week. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and the follow button to be notified of every new release wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube as well. I'm Alex Lloyd, and this is the 21st Century Tattoo. Thanks for listening.